Discussions. I'm your host, Jean Newell, and in the studios with me today is my co-host, Jonathan Lack. Hello, Jonathan.
Hi, Jean. Great. Glad to be back.
And Jonathan, you are here. Let's go ahead and tell about all the different parts of real estate that you represent, because, boy, we fill the gamut.
Well, Jean, I'm with Lack & Lack Charter, which is a transactional real estate attorney, real estate law firm. I am a real estate attorney, but we also own Waterview Title Services, which is a full-service title insurance agency, and Waterview Realty Services, which is a real estate brokerage, of which you are one of my fine agents.
That's right. And we always like to cover all kinds of things on our show. We always say everything from foreclosures to Feng Shui. Because I always say our show's kind of like Angie's List meets HGTV. We want to utilize all of our experts here locally to help those people that might be in a do-it-yourself project, or they just need experts to ask questions to. We've covered everything from foreclosures to Feng Shui. And we've had a lot of different guests on, but even FEMA. We've had FEMA on. We've had economic development. And today we're going to be talking to a tile expert who's going to help those people that are thinking about selling their home and exactly what they might need to do to get it in the right format and be up to date on their home so it'll show well and get the highest price possible. And we're going to be talking about other things to do with tile. And why don't we just go ahead and we'll introduce our guest right now. I'm very happy to have Will Brunson. Is that right?
Brunson. Yes, ma'am.
He's the general manager with Island Tile and Marble Incorporated in Melbourne, right on South Harbor City Boulevard. Just about 2 or 3 blocks south of 192. Wonderful showroom. Will, go ahead and tell us a little about your background and your history and with Island Tile, so we can kind of set the mood for what we're going to be talking about.
All right. Well, I started off in the commercial construction industry, mostly did demolition, and I found that the commercial industry was just a little bit too cold. There was not enough of a personal touch. So I tagged along, and I met Mr. Cliff Hirsch. I was always astounded by his ability to stay in business and have such a successful company in the Melbourne area, which is home to so many businesses that are up and down and up and down. But for some reason, his company always seemed to stay the same. So I went and talked to him, and I was offered a position with him, and ever since then, we've experienced growth over the last 2 years, and we've been slowly making a lot of great strides. Yes.
How long has Island Tile been in business?
We've been in business since 1984. So wow. Cliff Hirsch actually started the business 30 years ago. It was out of a 1-bedroom apartment in Melbourne, Florida, and slowly, one pallet at a time, he would buy, sell, and then install the material with his own crew, and they were doing bathroom remodels. So over time, word got out how good the quality of the tile and how good the quality of his installation was, and it really grew into quite the business.
I remember Cliff years ago when I was working for a lot of the custom home builders, and what a great showroom. I was in it the other day. And if you don't have a clue what you want to do, just take a stroll through Island Tile's showroom, and it will open up your eyes to all kinds of things. And it's quite reasonable. Boy, you have some great prices. You also have the outlet store right next door. And I was very happy with and pleased with the associates there. I got more information about tile then I knew quite a bit. I didn't realize how much I did know, but boy, they really informed me of exactly what kinds of tiles, because different tiles work differently in your home. People think, oh, tile's a tile, but it isn't. Could you tell us a little bit about what kinds of tiles are available and perhaps what's trending right now?
Sure, absolutely. Well, right now, what's trending in flooring is obviously wood look tile. I'm sure you've seen it in many of the homes that you've dealt with. And the biggest thing is just having products look more and more realistic. So whether it be a wood look tile or a marble look tile, any type of stone look to, be exact, everything is becoming more realistic. Mm-hmm. So 5 years ago, wood look tile was a 6x24 inch plank with a pressed edge, meaning you'd run about a 3/16 or an 1/8 inch grout line, and it would not be a perfect plank by any means, and the pattern would be repeated quite often. Now planks are scaling upwards of 8x48, 12x48, and they have a grout line that's about a 1/16 of an inch. So your house doesn't have a zigzag pattern going all throughout it.
Yeah.
So on top of the wood look tile becoming more realistic and being able to say, I would like a hickory look, or I'd like a maple look, or maybe even a wire brushed look, we can accommodate that in tile, but we can also do the same with Carrara, Calicata marble, any type of travertine, limestone, keystone, whatever it is that you're desiring in your house.
I know I was just thinking about this, and I think I mentioned it to you, that years ago when I grew up in South Florida, we had terrazzo floors, and that was just cement with a bunch of little, I guess, I don't know, it was glass, or what was terrazzo made up of? I don't know, little pieces of something that were in the terrazzo, the concrete, and that kept our homes cooler.
Sure.
And then the trend was to carpet everything and put vinyl down, and then shut up all the windows and put air conditioning. But sometimes what works in a northern atmosphere does not, or climate does not work in Florida. And I know one of the big things is the sand, and people always talk about having natural wood floors and so forth, but the sand just destroys as wood floors. Plus, I think with pets and so forth, it just doesn't last as long. So if you want that wood look, I was surprised you even have distressed wood that looks like barn siding. I thought that was really interesting. I took some photos of that. I was kind of impressed with that look. So no matter if you want that wood look, there's things out there to give you that same appearance of having that old world look, or even the cottage look from years ago, prior to carpeting, but yet you have the durability of tile.
Correct. We have everything from rustic and farmhouse to a hand scrape look that you'd have in $1 million house with some real wood floors. So,
well, why would you go with a tile over the wood? Again, just for the layperson out there, I want wood floors. I like wood floors. I want to have wood floors. I have seen and have been in homes with beautiful wood look tile, so I know exactly what you're talking about, and I was amazed by how good it looked and how realistic it looked. But why tile over wood? What's the advantages?
Sure. Well, I mean, off the bat, if you're just comparing wood and wood look tile, number one, you're not killing any trees to make a wood look tile. Number two, I would say that the important part of a wood look tile is remembering that when you get a wood product, unless you're spending upwards of $8 to $10 a square foot, you're not actually getting a real wood product. You're getting something that's been stained and treated to look like a certain type of wood product. And because it's made out of wood, it's a good selling point. But truthfully, tile is best because it has no maintenance. Once it's down, you have at least 30 years of wear life on your tile. I always stress to people, take your keys, do whatever you need to do, let your dogs, kids run on it, a sample of tile in your house, and see if it's something that works for you. I'm confident that it won't be scratched up and nothing will happen to it. And then number two, I would say it remains cooler. It is directly applied to your concrete floor as long as it's on your first floor, and concrete in Florida stays cool. And it also translates to having a cool tile floor. All you're having is a concrete, then mortar, and then tile to the top of that. So,
well, what about laminate? Where does laminate come into this picture?
Well, laminate is also along the lines of wood. I'd say wood is a little bit more durable, but it's cheaper to replace laminate than it is a wood. And, both of them have the problems with water, and Florida is notorious for being wet, and anybody who doesn't get their house wet is lying to you. No matter if it's a hurricane or if you have family over or you're coming back from the beach, doesn't matter. You're going to get your floors wet at some point.
You had said concrete, mortar, and then tile.
Correct.
And that's just for the plank tile because it's thicker, or don't you still have to put that kind of a coat?
Set.
Yeah, that, what do they call it, like an insulation?
Thin set.
Thin set, is that what they call it? Kind of like a cushion of some sort for tile?
It depends on what kind of a job you're doing. Some people like to go ahead and do crack isolation membrane throughout the whole floor.
That's it, crack
but it's all depending on what the subfloor looks like. So if your house is 10 years old, when you remove the old product that's there, tile, wood, whatever it may be, if you see that there's a settlement crack, you can treat the settlement crack and then just go ahead and keep tiling the rest of it. Otherwise, it's an additional cost that's a little bit unnecessary to do.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Tell us a little bit about the makeup of tile. Boy, I tell you, I got a great education the other day when I was at Island Tile. Just a shout out there to Vinny, and I don't remember the other people that were there helping me. Who were there? Who was it that I talked to?
It was Josh, Jessica,
yes,
David. They're all great.
of them.
Right.
They were great. And who'd ever think that there's different makeups of tile? What most people think of, I guess, as tile is ceramic tile that when in elementary school, if you ever worked with ceramics, you started with a clay source and then you baked it and then you put the glaze on and you baked it again. And I think most people understand tile that when you see a side section of the tile, it's usually kind of a reddish color, and then you've got the glaze on top. And that's just referred to as clay tile. Is that right?
That one would be ceramic tile.
That would be ceramic tile.
Ceramic tile would be your traditional tile makeup. Ceramic actually comes in both white body and red body.
Okay.
So your normal subway tile, it looks white on the back. Sometimes people think they're porcelain, and they can be, but most of the time they're a white ceramic. It's a more lightweight tile that's easier to cut. And ceramic tile is it's a mixture of clays and other natural materials, and they are special clays that are mined from the earth, shaped, colored, and then fired in kilns. And ceramic tile, to sum up, is great for everyday use, but if you have a more active household, maybe a lot of pets, or you're prone to dropping something on your floors, per se, commercial application, ceramic tile does not always have the same durability as a porcelain tile. But it's not, in modern day, it's not that much different than porcelain tile anymore. The biggest difference you're going to find is that ceramic tile is easier to cut if you're a installer. And when it does break, it tends to break in a different way than a porcelain tile. It tends to crumble more than have a straight crack through it. So fixing it is a little bit harder. Usually you have to replace it. But then if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, a ceramic tile is so much cheaper than a porcelain tile. And at the end of the day, you can go ahead and pop that tile out for no big deal. It's not a lot of money.
Well, let's talk about replacing tiles for a moment. So you're in your house and you've been there a few years, and then somebody drops something heavy and cracks a tile. What's involved in replacing it, and what do you recommend as far as storage of tiles or the ability to find replacement tiles?
Okay. Well, what I recommend is, of course, right off the bat, when you go ahead and buy tile, you want to go ahead and buy enough tile for your job. And there is a waste factor. So, our tile is shipped in from all over the world. So we do have tiles that get broken on pallets. It happens. So that is included in your, 7 to 10% waste factor, 15% if you're doing some type of pattern. But I always recommend to buy enough tile for your job. When you're done with the job, keep 3 or 4 boxes in your attic. That'll save you from any headaches that you can have in the future. I would say, as far as Island Tile goes, when we direct import something, we keep the product for anywhere between 3 and 5 years. After that, it's not necessarily that we don't want to continue carrying that tile anymore. It's that the manufacturer could have changed the tile, and production processes do change over time, as we see between a traditional white 12x12 tile and the long wood look planks that we have today.
I did want to ask you a little bit about porcelain. That's the same coloring throughout. Is that correct?
So there's a few different types of porcelain tile. Porcelain through body is what you're thinking of, and that just means that it has the same base color all the way through. It does not have the same picture printed all the way through, as the printers are not able to print that deep, yet at least. So porcelain tile, in a nutshell, is a newer form of ceramic tile. Italy did not have the same clay materials that Spain had in their backyard, so they went ahead and composed porcelain tile of fine porcelain clays, and they fired them at a much higher temperature than ceramic tiles. What that allows is for the porcelain tile to be a little bit more perfect in size and shape, and when you fire it for a longer time, the price goes up. For every tile that spends longer in the kiln, it's more energy, and it equates to a higher price.
It's more durable.
It is definitely more durable. So the process of making porcelain tile makes it so that it's more dense, less porous, and much harder and less prone to moisture and stain absorption than ceramic tiles are. So what also happens is that porcelain tiles are able to be printed on and shaped in a way that makes them look nearly identical to real wood floors or replications of marble. And
would you recommend certain tiles for certain areas of the house? For example, would you say your living room and kitchen would be different than your bathroom as far as porcelain or ceramic, or would you tend to recommend the same material throughout?
I think it all depends on, what the house is that you're doing. If it's a flip house or if it's a house that you're going to live in, it all has to match your lifestyle. So I always recommend doing the same tile throughout the whole house, just because it makes it feel a lot more open. The less transitions, the better, in my mind. And I know that a lot of my customers agree with that these days. Normally people change their tile when they reach powder baths, or if they get into a master bathroom, they'll go ahead and do a corresponding wall floor tile, maybe in a marble sort. But I would say keep it the same as much as possible, just because it makes it look like you did it all at one time.
Let me ask you about stone tiles. Stone tile isn't used like ceramic. You don't put it in a kiln and all that. It's just cut. Correct. Stone. Correct. And it's cut in the shape of a tile. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's got the same everything throughout because it's the same material.
Yes.
We're always in homes that maybe, let's just say they're 10, 15 years old, and they've maybe got white tile, and it's 12 by 12 or 18 by 18, and there's no patterns or anything. And it's great for reselling it, but sometimes people have carpet, and now they're thinking, I want to take up the carpet, and there's no way they can match this white tile. So we always come up with creative ways, and we say, well, you can have a little threshold out of this tinier tile, like a little pattern, and then when you bring in another tile, something that kind of matches the threshold, and it makes it look like you planned it that way.
Sure.
Or if there's broken tiles in the middle, what I did on my home years ago is I had 18-inch tile, but the way my kitchen was, we put it on a different angle, and then we put a little threshold between the kitchen and the family room. And then in the middle of the family room, we actually made what looked like a inlaid carpet, or not carpet, but like a decorative oriental rug or something, just with various smaller tiles. And that always breaks up a big place without making it look too busy.
Sure.
And of course now they've got so many nice tiles that you can pick from that you don't have to be that creative and try to create something that's now exists, which is great. Let's talk a little bit about tiling bathrooms, because that's a big resale value. People always ask us, how much should I put into this home so I can get it ready to resell? And of course, a lot of it is planned on, what's the house value going to be? Because of course, you don't necessarily want to put in a $25,000 kitchen on a $100,000 house. So we have to look at things, and there's always ways to make something look new without necessarily spending a lot for cabinets and for other things. You can sometimes just create what you want with tile floors and maybe countertops and so forth, and get away with not spending as much. What do you see happening in kitchens and baths? We were talking about bathrooms. Let's talk about bathroom at like a regular tub bathroom. So you want to take out the standard. I remember my house is 30 years old. It's just about ready to see you. I'm going to have some new tile put in.
All right, you're welcome to come by.
I'm going to be. I just have standard beige tile. There's nothing fancy about it. And I think at the time they put in a little row of brown tile just to break up the beige. So if I want to redo this shower bath, because that's a kind of a standard 6 foot, there's all kinds of things you can do. Do you still recommend larger tiles for the walls, or what's the trend right now for wall tile in a bathroom?
Surprisingly, when you use a larger tile in a smaller space, it does not have the illusion where it's cluttered or that you can't get enough full pieces on the wall. Mm-hmm. Today's tile has pretty much the same color throughout the entire tile. Therefore, it doesn't look like... how does it look? A puzzle piece.
Right.
And the grout matches so closely, and it's all stain-resistant grout now, that you really can't see where one tile starts and another one stops. So I would recommend going as large as you feel comfortable with. Obviously, there's a point when it gets a little ridiculous, but I would say the standard size right now would be a 12 by 24, and it would be a actual floor tile being used on the wall. And they come in pretty much every single look you could ever dream of.
And what we have any kind of a price range? I know you can go the sky's the limit, or you can do something maybe in the outlet store, but kind of a range on a typical bathtub tiled wall area to update it.
Sure. I mean, most people who are doing redoing a tub wall, they're going to be right around that $2,000 to $3,000 price bracket. Once you get the plumbing fixed, 9 times out of 10, when you take out a 10-year-old tub and start digging into the fixtures and the cartridges and everything, you'll find that there's a pipe that's been just leaking onto the ground underneath the tub, and nothing's been connected for years. So plumbing is a huge cost that affects the price of everything,
sure.
As well as the walls. So we can't really foresee that. But I would say anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000 for just the wall tile on a tub when it comes down to it. And then, if you're changing your tub into a walk-in shower and doing all the intricacies of glass doors and, putting a shower floor and a curb and packing everything, you're going to be right around the $5,000 range when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you can save money by picking a cheaper tile, or if you have your own plumber, it really is just depending on every single case.
John, don't you think that's a great idea, though,
Absolutely.
for resales?
Again, depending on what you're seeing in the house to begin with, but some of the houses we've walked into, a $5,000 makeover would probably increase the value of the house more than that. That's the goal here. If you're going to put money into the house to help you sell it, your goal is to, at a minimum, get that money back and expedite the sale. And if you're going to go through the trouble and hassle of having your bathroom torn apart for a week or however long it takes, then you really want to profit from that. So a $2,000 to $5,000 investment in a bathroom to upgrade it from, a 1980s bathroom is usually going to be well worth the expense. What are you seeing in the trends? That's how you kind of hit on that with the 12 by 24. Are there trends? Is it purely style-based, or, again, trends are always style-based, but what are the trends
colors,
these days
maybe?
for colors and shapes? In other words, I know one of the baths we did 10 years ago had that, what do they call the subway tiles? And I still think it looks nice. We have a nice bathroom with the neat subway tiles in one of our baths. And then another one we laid it at the diamond look. We laid the square tiles at an angle. Mm-hmm. And are there different trends like that, or is it just designer choice?
Absolutely. Trends are changing all the time. Subway tile is something that's going to be around forever. So
describe what a subway tile, what that look is. It's not an actual tile called subway. It's the
right.
Subway
Subway
you
tile
apply
is it's a 3x6 tile, and it's just super simple to cut. It's easy to work with, and it's run in so many different patterns. The biggest thing about subway tile is that choosing your grout color, making it light or dark, can totally change the way the whole room looks. And subway tiles are very inexpensive, but they still leave a nice, I would say, upscale look to your bathroom. It looks intricate. And
the one tile that I see that seems to be in every magazine is that new glass tile. Do you see a lot? I see a lot of that in backsplashes in kitchens, but and a lot of trim work in bathrooms on the walls. But do you see all wall? Do they come in big pieces as well? Those glass tiles, or only decorative pieces?
We've done. We have many glass tiles to choose from, but glass tiles can go up to large sizes like 10 by 24, 12 by 24 in a glass tile. We see mostly 4 by 16, 4 by 12 glass tiles, and a lot of people are using them just because they reflect light so well. Mm-hmm. So they give it kind of a depth, and they make the room feel a little bit bigger. If you have under cabinet lights in your kitchen, or if you want to do it in your shower, it really gives it a nice clean and elegant, rich look, right? Mm-hmm. So,
well, I also learned some things the other day when I was at Island Tile. I think everybody knows what a bullnose tile is, and that's the finishing tile on a corner of maybe a shower or something like that. But now there's other things that you can finish off the tile at the corners,
right,
or at the edges, I should say, not the corners. I remember pencil was one of them, I think, that Vinny told me about. What's some of the other finishing? They don't even use bullnose anymore, do they?
Right. Well, kind of to hit on what John said about the trends and patterns too. The sizing is getting bigger, and there's no denying that. We have tiles coming upwards of 5 foot by 10 foot now here soon. And they do come in a 1 centimeter instead of a 2 centimeter thickness, like your traditional tile is. And in doing so, you have a little bit more flex and everything to lay over floors or walls. However, when you do a large format tile, whether it be 12 by 24 or 5 foot by 10 foot, they are floor tiles being put on walls and floors. That means that the bullnose is going to be, it would have to be a lot longer, number one. So you'd have, if it was a 10-foot piece, you'd have a 10-foot piece of bullnose. So what we're starting to get into is tile trim. And tile trim is aluminum, and it comes anodized, powder-coated, whatever your look is. So you can match it up to your fixtures. You can do brushed nickel, oil rub bronze. And what that means is there's a little L channel. It'll slide underneath your tile, and you can use it for a finishing piece on your wall. You can use it as a transition piece between tile and carpet or tile and tile, whatever you'd like to do. But we're really seeing a large market increase in this right now. Pretty much, I would say 75 to 80% of our jobs going out are using tile trim in some aspect. And tile trim not only comes in different finishes, but it also comes in etched or engraved designs, so you can have a little bit more intricacy to your aluminum that's being fastened to your tile.
How do you get these ideas? I know you go to these different designer shows. There was just one recently in Orlando, but are you picking a lot of it up from the HGTV shows that people come in and say, I saw this on HGTV, or do you get information right from the tile companies that are talking about the various trends that are coming out with?
It's surprisingly, everything kind of starts in South Florida. They're the closest to the port. They're the closest to getting the newest tile. So we are very in touch with many different companies there. We have partnerships with, and when a tile comes in, we see how it works in South Florida, other areas, and we know that the trends from South Florida are eventually going to work their way to Melbourne, the Space Coast area. And so that's how we stay ahead of products as far as that goes. We at Island Tile also like to listen to our customers and see what their needs are and address those. So if they've been asking us for a gray marble look tile for a few months, and we keep track of how many people ask, and we say in our next round of picking out tile, whether it be at our tile shows in Italy, Spain, or something simple like in Orlando, then we go ahead and pick something out for them.
Well, that's great.
I did want to just say that time is flying by, and it's been a very informative show, Will, and I very much thank you for it. Two things I want to comment on. You said the trends are coming from South Florida, and I want to give a plug to waterviewre.com, which is building a bridge between Broward and Brevard, because that's kind of our focus, is all the people moving up here. So Waterview Realty does accommodate those clients who are moving from there to here. But secondly, I'd like you to give your contact information. So you've given us a lot of great information. Let people know where we can reach Island Tile: phone, email, website, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Well, feel free to go on our website. It's www.islandtile.com. We also have a Facebook page where we try to update customer jobs and upcoming products. And then you can go ahead and email me if you'd like to with any questions at will@islandtile.com, or you can call the office at 321-676-1563, and we are a quarter mile south of 192 on US 1. You'll see a big Key West colored building with a steeple of Island Tile, so come on by and check us out.
And you're open on Saturdays, which is good.
We're open on Saturdays 9 to 3, and we have our warehouses in the back if you need anything at the same day.
I do want to give a plug. I built my house back in 2006, and I am very proud of my Island Tile.
Oh, there.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And if you would like to learn more about Island Tile and maybe see some different pictures, I'd like to get some photos from you at some point in time, and we'll put that on our page at yourhometownsolutions.com. And I think we'll do a little Facebook something with some before and after pictures. We'll get those from you this week. And anything else that we can add to help you design your home, sell your home, we're here. Please ask us, and we'll ask the experts. We thank you for joining us today, and thank you, Will Brunson. Right? Am I saying that
Brunson,
right? Brunson. I want to, put an extra syllable in there from Island Tile. Thank you so much for being. He's the general manager. And you've got a lot of background with all the designs and so forth, and we're happy to have had you here. Jonathan, do you want to go ahead and give out the information on Lack and Lack as well?
Lack and Lack Chartered, we can be reached at area code 321-953-5115 or at lacklaw.com.
And as we say, we cover everything from foreclosures to Feng Shui. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today at Your Hometown Solutions.